stuff happening. Women in Drones is just amazing, and I'm just so blessed to be a part of it. So I'm going to segue over now to our spotlight speaker. Today we have Shari Williams. Thank you for joining us today. She is the goddess of drones, and she's going to share her story with us. So thank you, Shari, and I'm going to go ahead and make you Pin Light Spot Speaker.
So it's just my big head on the screen right now. Y'all see?
Yeah.
Well, here I am. Thank you so much, Women in Drones and Coffee Connect and members, for having me today. And I'm super excited because my journey is, oh, wow, so incredible. So I'll start to tell you a little bit about myself and then about a really cool project that I did over the summer. It was my very first solo project, so I'm very proud about it. And I'll share some slides with you. But I am Shari Williams, the goddess of drones, and I made up that name as I was training with my mentor and friend, Kim Players, when she first got me into drones, because we were going on a date for lunch and shopping. Never made it to shopping, but we made it to lunch. And then the conversation turned into, look, I need to show you something, and I think it's going to really impact you. So we went to the local park up by my house. She pulled up this big box. She pulled something out. She cranked it up. She threw it in the air, and she said, it's a drone. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, wouldn't you like to have a camera in the sky? And I said, absolutely. Can I hold your drone? Can I fly this? What do I do? I wanted to do it. She showed me what to do that initial time, and I have been hooked ever since. So I took my friend Kim's class, and we were able to take the class. Well, she was able to teach me, and we had the wonderful speakers. I took the class, and I've been licensed for the last 4 years. And then I started teaching for Master Your Drones. I've always had my own business, Shari Williams Enterprises, a consulting company doing PR and event planning and marketing and things like that. So I just took what I already do and love, and I weaved it into what I'm doing now. And I was able to scale my business by becoming a drone pilot. And now I'm taking off baby steps, because this is the thing. I'm watching everyone and I'm loving everything that everyone's doing, but I can't do everything that you guys are doing. I can do something, but I have to collaborate with people. So I'm collaborating. I'm doing what I know to do best: networking, collaborating, finding those niche spots, spaces where I can fit in, where I can create something. I love to create something. So I created my first drone camp, and it was for an organization here in West Philadelphia. And we were able to only train 3 students, but that's what the budget allowed. I said, okay, we can do this. So I was able to hire 2 previous students that I taught that did an amazing job. So I put people to work. We did our first drone camp 10 minutes away from my house, up Cobbs Creek, Kim, the same creek that we went to when you first initially showed me a drone and showed me what we're going to do with this drone. So I feel like this group and other contacts and things that I have, we mesh them all together, and we really try to come up with things that are going to work for us. So I work with a variety of companies. I don't just work with one company, because I do the PR. That allows me to, navigate through different areas. And so that I'm bringing something to my students. I'm going to make sure they have a 1-pager when they're done. It's sort of like their drone bio. It'll be their headshot and their experience, what they learned, and then what they plan on doing with their drone. Just a little 1-pager, just something to get them started. Because when you're in this business, you don't really have an identity until you create one, right? So that's why I'm the goddess of drones. So let me show you what the kids did this summer and what they said about their experience. I'm going to share my screen. I'm sharing my screen. Okay, good. All right. Can everyone see this?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so we did a visual communications project and it was talking about becoming a licensed remote commercial drone pilot. Now, there's a few things I've learned in our Facebook groups that I'm in about the interchanging words about license and being called a pilot versus an operator. So I'll probably toss this around a little bit and change up some of the language. But I learned that through one of the Facebook groups about how people really use the terms. Let me hide this bar so I can see here. How do you do that? Let me see. I'll hide the bar. Hide, hide, hide. I can't hide it. But anyway, the goals of the
Sherry,
camp.
you can
Yeah.
move it down if that helps. You can move it to a different position. Like just kind of grab it and pull it down and you could probably in an
Okay.
empty space.
I can't grab the presentation, but oh, I see. Okay. All right.
If that
The
helps.
Visual Communications Project goals. Basically, we wanted the students to understand the basic concepts of digital photography and videography. And I'm not going to read all through these. I'm just going to give you a snapshot. And also using the drone and further understand how to prepare for the knowledge exam. We wanted them to be equipped with knowledge and essential tools for flying the drone, working the controller as a beginner. You know, some of these kids didn't ever pick up a controller. Some kids are gamers and they picked up controllers, but some kids did not. So we wanted to make sure that they learned how to work the drones, work the controllers, the intricate parts of their drones. We also wanted them to gain skills in the area and really be prepared to take the test and to really enter the market. So we had a full curriculum for the students. And then we wanted them to build networks and communication skills. Some of the kids never stood up and had any kind of presentation. They didn't never do a presentation in front of anyone. So we wanted to make sure that they presented their information at the end of the camp. So meet the team. I was the supervisor and instructor and chief pilot. Then we had Ashley Wilson, who was one of our lead trainers. And then we had Wesley Brown, who was also one of our lead flight trainers and drone pilot and photographer. The students that we had came from the local community, out of the organization, the West Philadelphia Youth Environmental Justice Council. We had student workers, Abdullah Hassan, Rosa Dresla, Daniel, and Amaya Hall. These students actually got paid to come to the camp. So every day they were getting paid to come to the camp. That is so cool. And they were able to learn how to become a licensed, a remote drone pilot. So we also covered the FAA topics. We talked about rules and regulations, the airspace and classifications, weather, loading and performance, operations, and remote ID, operating over people in night operation, all the new rules. We talked to them about that. We, basically went through how you prepare for the exam through the 6 weeks with the 3 students that we had. We also talked to them and gave them statistics on the various careers and opportunities that were out there. You guys are doing those things, so they're definitely out there. Maybe one day one of these young folks can work for your companies. Then we covered the 12-unit drone curriculum with them, which was a cram because one of the things that happened is we had a coronavirus outbreak and that shut down the in-person. This is how we were situated in person. Everyone has on their mask, but that shut down the camp for a week. So then we had to teach them virtually. So we had to have a backup plan. I'm glad we already had that in place because it was an outbreak. And then we had to change how we were doing things. This was something that the kids went over. It talked about electricity charges and increase in rainfall. This was something that Ashley went over with them, trying to have them relate to the drone and how it works with clouds. Here's Wesley. He's talking to the students about taking better pictures through photography and videography. He gave them really great tips. And these are some of the tips that he gave the kids. And then he also took them out on a field trip, teaching them how to fly and also teaching them how to use their cameras on their phones as well as their cameras on their drones, and really try to give them basic tips to help them be better photographers or better creators to capture the information that they're seeking. Here's Ashley. She was teaching Amaya about the battery's lifespan, and we took them to an open field area. We happened to capture a woman with her 2 lovely dogs, and they were just curious of what we were doing. So the one dog is just watching us. But we were preparing for flight, and she was talking about the batteries and the life of the batteries and how to change the batteries and how to make sure you have enough batteries. She was really going through all of those pre-flight check things that we need to do before a flight. Here's Abdullah and Rosa Dresla. They were learning how to use their smartphones with the drones and the technology. We gave them a bunch of apps to use as well because we wanted them to see what we're all using in the industry. So we gave them 5 or 6 apps that they can download. We even paid for a few of the apps so that they can have them on their phone. I didn't want them to want for anything in terms of getting the information. Here's Abdullah. He's flying, and what he basically said is he learned the basic flight terminology to make him sound smarter. He was really funny. He was a great kid, 17 years old, and he also learned how to fly his drone in both free areas and tricky spots. And he also said he plans on using this experience to make money on the side. And so I feel like I'm going to try to help him do that because he's going to be going off to college, and this is a great way for him to work with a company, work by himself, and really try to get into a particular niche to help him through college by using the drone. Amaya, she learned some valuable lessons as well. She talked about her experience. She wants to own her own business. She wants to take pictures and do videos and mapping and other things. She wasn't exactly sure what those other things were, but she did identify a few areas that I thought were key. And both of these students participated in capturing the footage and photos that were needed for the other for the other camp program. There were 4 programs in one, and it was a sustainability program, and they're doing a sustainability of the building that we were housed in. And so our students captured all the photos that they used for a sustainability report that is going to go forward, that they're going to work on getting funding for to fix the various things throughout the building. And here's Rosa Dresla. Out of her 6 weeks, she really worked hard to learn everything. She's originally from Haiti. She's been in this country since she was 9 years old. Her father is currently back in Haiti. So we're waiting on Rosa Dresla to get her ID so she can finish and then take her test, because again, you can't take your test if you don't have a state ID. So she's just patiently waiting. She's still studying, and she's looking forward to teaching others how to fly correctly. And here's an obstacle course over a bridge. This was a really great fun activity, but it really helped them learn how to get familiar with their drone in tight spaces and fly an obstacle course. It looks like it's easy, but Kim and I and a lot of you know it's not easy. So we really wanted them to challenge themselves and work as a team. Here's a few pictures that they took. They were using the telos. We used the larger drone to capture some of the footage that we needed of the structure of the building. Inside, we used a camera. Outside, we used the drone. The drone got stuck in the tree, but they were able to retrieve the drone. And they take, this is their quotes, drones take beautiful photos of buildings, structure, flowers, water, and they can get stuck in a tree. But the team retrieved the drone. So the cool thing is they were having a lot of fun while they were learning. And then we also talked to them about careers in the commercial businesses and other resources that we gave them if they're interested in starting their own business. And we talked about the various areas. There's so many more areas that I don't have on this list that will go on this list that are just, you know, unbelievable opportunities for anyone that wants to be in this industry. The money is there and the opportunities are there. So the WPYEJC is the West Philadelphia community, and as they want to be known as the voice of youth that is speaking and advocating for social and environmental justice policy changes. And this is their logos. And that is me, Goddess of Drones. I just want everybody to shut up and fly and reach for more in your life. So here's how you contact me if you're interested in anything I'm doing. I still work with my mentor, which is wonderful. She really helped me understand a lot about how to navigate this industry and how to collaborate with others. I already know how to do that, but it was even better when I started to get involved, especially with women in drones. So I'm looking forward to doing more, collaborating more with this group. And I'm just having a great time. And I'm working a full-time job. So I'm already creating my success, you know, how I'm going to move out of my current plan into the thing that I'm loving right now.
Awesome. Awesome. So I know there's a lot of comments into the chat about just, you know, the whole creativity and inspiring the youth is amazing. And I love some of the things that you're pointing out as far as, you know, bringing in other aspects of it. The doing a presentation, that's not a part that you normally would see. And so incorporating that into your presentation and making it a part of what they do is amazing. Yeah, so how exciting. And I like the tree, right? Who hasn't been in a tree?
Oh, yeah, right? Especially with those darn tellos. And you know,
my drone has not been in a tree.
right,
Cross my fingers.
right? Only the tellos.
But I'm hoping that I can build with any, I say anyone because I say everyone is, everything is a wonderful opportunity that God may put at my doorstep. So I'm just open to working with everyone. And Kim has been amazing. And I work with Kim. I will always work with Kim. And it's just a fun road. So thank you so much for having me. And I hope to one day be featured in Women to Watch.
Woo!
Well, you're definitely featured in the magazine this quarter. Did you see that?
I didn't see that. I'm just getting back from that 2-week vacation. So now I'm like, okay.
In the magazine. I think it just dropped anyways. But
thank you. Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that with Shari, like one thing, you know, that I admire about her is that she does have a full-time job.
Yes.
It was really important when I was thinking of a speaker is having somebody on, because I just think about all the people that we've had on the call, right? And we've had a lot of business, drone businesses on the call that they do full time, but that's not practical for everybody. And that doesn't mean you have to give up on your drone dream. Shari's looking to retire, like when I first met her, like, you know, coming up soon. So she's, you know, mapping out and strategizing, you know, her exit strategy. So yeah, I'm so proud of Shari. You know, she's been with me from the very beginning, and we've always had so much fun. When I first met Shari, she's a model. And so she used to have these fashion shows at her house, and she invited me. She was sitting at the head of the table with all the women around her. I just watched her and I'm like, someday I'm going to work with that woman. They're just, you know, some people just strike you a certain way that, you know, they, like, you could just tell that they're great leaders and they're great collaborators, not competitors. And so that's so important, because we cannot do these businesses on our own. It's not a loner's game. And I know we've been taught that way, to compete and not collaborate, but that's wrong. I'm just going to tell you, that's wrong. We must collaborate. We all have our own little niches, and collaborating is the key. So, and that's what I appreciate about Shari, is that she's a wonderful collaborator in Philadelphia. And yeah, and I just really appreciate and I really admire her, because she's doing a full-time job and she's working her drone business and putting it all together. And that's huge. That's huge. Is there anybody else on the call that works a full-time job? You can put it in the chat if you want. Yeah. So besides the drone, like, full-time job, and then, yes. So we got some, and I know several people, and I just wanted women to know that you don't have to check out just because you have a full-time job. Baby steps are better than no steps at all. And remember, persistence does not recognize failure, right, Shari?
That is correct. That is correct. I just love what I'm doing. And if you keep it fun, and look, everything is competitive, but I don't have time for that. I want to have fun.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like Kim says, ain't nobody got time for that.
Nobody got time for that. That's right.
Yeah.
So there are several comments that are popping up that there are a lot of people that are trying to do the juggle and getting things started. And I think that's how you make a career change, is, you just start to get your feet wet in it a little bit and then move forward in that direction, right? And so it was a great topic. Yes. I think some of the ones are popping up being direct message to me, as opposed to out to everyone, but there's quite a few people that are saying that that's kind of how it is, and so it's a great way to start. And I like the STEM aspect, because me and the STEM side of things, and I like the approach that she has, and it's been wonderful, Shari. Thank you.
Thank you. And when the sustainability project report is done, I will give you guys an update, because that was one real key that they wanted to get done, so that they can get funding to do the Environmental Education Center, which is a beautiful center right here in West Philadelphia. And they do water shedding and all these other wonderful things, but the building needs some work. And so the kids were able to, do that. And they were also able to take a look at some of the very nasty driveways here in Philadelphia, in and around the community. And now they're trying to figure out how to take those 5 driveways that they found and get them cleaned as well. So anything that I do, everything that I do is always centered around sustainability, growth. How can we put these young folks to work, and collaboration, for sure.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's really cool that, like, kids could take up a drone and see something they would walk by every single day and never even think twice about it. A driveway. Like, why does a kid care about a driveway, right? But when you're in the city, I noticed, wasn't raised in the city, but so when I go in, I notice things. But when you live in the city and you're just walking by every single day, and you don't even notice it, like how it looks. And you guys know, if you've flown drones and you've done any kind of pictures of houses, I mean, the drone can either expose or promote, right? So it can expose a lot of the challenges that the property has, or it can promote, or both, right? So it's like, ooh, look at that driveway. The house looks great, but the driveway looks terrible, or the roof, or whatever, So that's really, really cool to get this new generation that's coming out to shift their way of thinking. And kudos to Shari to get them thinking about, sustainability and the future of, like, a big city like Philadelphia. We require more and more people that are going to be community advocates. And that's the one thing that I really appreciate about Shari, her husband, I've met her husband's mother. Like, there's such amazing community advocates. Like when we had all those, riots down in Philadelphia, Shari would call me and we like talk about it, and it was so upsetting, and so it's great because now she has a new generation coming up that she can say, hey, listen, we can fix this together, and we can start showing where we're weak and we can build together. So I love it, Shari. It's awesome.
Oh, Kim, you don't know how amazing that is. And I can beat this drum all day, because one of the things that is happening, you guys, is sometimes your area where you live dictates kind of what you can do with your drone or whatever per se. I took my drone all the way to freaking Hilton Head, and I was not able to fly my drone on the island at all. And I said, I already checked this before. Why did I throw that drone in? But I put it in because I had some friends that live on the outskirts area, and I still was able to fly. But it was in like 30 miles away from Hilton Head and Savannah, whatever. But it was in the neck of the woods. But I was okay with that. But getting back to my point about what you just said, Kim, the kids are going to be able to see what their community looks like.
That's right. That's
the
right.
The city can see what our community looks like, and then they can put a plan together to do urban planning to clean it up. Because if you don't ever highlight what is going on, then you're never going to be able to fix it. So I'm going to the core. This is to the core, right to the neighborhood. This is right where it's at.
Let's go to the core.
When you do that, you showcase what can we do. Are we going to fix this? Are we just going to keep passing past that driveway? And that older woman that's trying to get through her driveway to put her trash out, like, what can we really do? So we really have to refocus how we're doing things, and that takes retooling. And that's what I'm trying to do with not only the young folks, but some of the older folks as well.
Definitely. Yeah, I love it. I just think it's just, for me personally, that lives on the outskirts, it just, being with Shari and being in the city just brings a whole different shift to me. And I want to be part of that. I'm just so grateful that, I met Shari and I asked her, I tried to talk to her about drones and she wasn't really interested. I'm like, okay, I got to show her. Right.
Yeah,
and then when I took it was like, she literally grabbed the controller from my hand and said, can I fly? I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess you can, So, I mean, to go from something like that, like her shift, like I shifted her way of thinking, and now it's coming back around and she's shifting my way of thinking. And that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you, Kim.
Folks,
it is.
This is
and we're bringing people along the way.
We require, right? We're better together.
Yes, and we do have a couple of questions, and we're running a little low.
Okay, sure.
Tani's asked about, do you get area business, and how do you get area business involved? Do you have other sources and sponsors for the program?
Okay, so we had one sponsor for the program this year, and that sponsor wants to look for more sponsors for the program for next year, because they actually will want to do the program again because it was highly successful. And the program, out of the 75 different facilities that were housing the summer programs for the kids through the city program, this one won an award as being one of the best programs. I'm like, okay, great. So
nice.
So to answer your question, I don't have any yet, but I'm going to be looking for some. And if you have any ideas, shoot them my way. We could collaborate on how we can get them to the table for a program for next year for this program.
And it shows how, in drones, and many of you that are in education, you can see, just like Shari and I have helped each other shift and collaborate. We're doing the same thing in our communities. We don't get out there and, say, hey, go out and do some stuff for people and let them even know we exist. Then they could have fun, so they're going to spend it on other stuff. So the money is out there.
Yeah. And for business, for me, business in this area, yes, the business that I'm getting is more Well, I'm known for being a connector and networker. So people are calling me saying, "Oh, do you have a photographer? Do you have a videographer?" And then I may say, "Oh, do you need a drone operator?" And then like, I didn't know if I need a drone. Maybe I do. So it's not like I'm talking them into it. I'm educating them, saying, "You might need this because you said you wanted it to be all about this." And so I'm adding that. So I'm getting that kind of business because I'm being not aggressive, but approachable, and also asking questions about what the person needs. And then people call me about roof jobs, which I like to do. Is weird, but I don't know. I just
I
like
don't know, the
doing
roofs in
roofs.
Philly are pretty interesting though, right?
Yeah, so I do a lot of roof jobs here in around Philadelphia. But again, you're looking at the good, bad, and the ugly, and what you can fix, and what developers want, and what people that are investing in the city, they want to see these things. They don't want to see the beautiful pictures. They want to see it.
That's right.
Awesome. So we are pretty much out of time. I know Bree had one more question in there. There's a couple of comments about how you're impacting the next generations and everything. You kind of answered Free's question, but really quick, like if you could just tell us, how did they find you? How, she's kind of pointed out in here about, were you approached, or how did they actually find you?
Okay,
Get these
so
opportunities.
they found me because I did some of my own PR. I did a free learn about drones on Facebook, and so somebody from that group saw that, and then they reached out to me and wanted to talk about the camp that they were doing. So it was just hey, join me on Facebook for 30 minutes to learn about drones and learn about drone camp. So that's how they found me.
Awesome. Awesome.
Cool.
So we're going to keep with that kind of topic as far as reaching out to your community. What have you done? How have you incorporated community efforts into what you're doing with the drones? So that'll be our topic for today's session.
Awesome.
And we thank you again, Shari, for sharing, because it looks like we can probably
Awesome.
keep this going. The goddess of drones, right? And
Yes.
so we'll go ahead and start the rooms.
All right.
There we go. That kind of wraps it up.